Well, thank you so much for this amazing honor. I have known Michael Weir for just a few years and have been delighted with his consistency and his integrity. But as a person who spent half her life as an agnostic, it is really even more humbling for me to receive an award from an organization called Center for Christianity and Public Life. But let me confess at the outset that I do have a certain dis-ease with the term Christianity or with any dialogue, engaging in any dialogue about whether one faith is superior to the other in terms of civic engagement. My faith in the Lordship of Jesus, sadly, is connected to a faith tradition that is steeped in a history of colonial domination, near annihilation of indigenous people, brutal enslavement of Africans, centuries of racist policies, historically co-signed by the white Christian church, modern-day white Christian nationalists, claiming the banner of Jesus without the manner of Jesus, and failed racial reckoning that diminishes efforts toward a multiracial society. But what moved me personally from my stubborn resistance to even thinking about engaging in a faith tradition was learning about the undeniable authenticity and consistency of Jesus' public life, committed to releasing all those held captive by poverty and oppression. But it was even more than that. It was his life rooted in love for all people. People all created in the Imago Dei, the image of God, that absolutely won my heart. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. reminds us that the church must be the conscience of the state, not its servant or master. He also said that the church should be the state's critic and guide, not its tool. King believed that if the church did not recapture its prophetic zeal, it would become a social club that was irrelevant and had no moral or spiritual authority. Sadly, as we approach the November election, the growing threat of voter suppression, intimidation, violence is either co-signed or led by zealous, cult-like Christian state election officials committed to doing whatever it takes for the candidate to win. But the good news is that I have met and have been connected with many intergenerational pro-justice and pro-democracy leaders who are working together to protect democracy and make voting easier. Despite what we have now are 60s type, almost counting beans, the number of beans in jelly beans in a jar type voting laws that even criminalize today the Good Samaritan Act of giving food and water to weary voters, older voters, disabled voters, and others. But I'm so thrilled that organizations like Protect Democracy, led by Chris Crawford, the election security response movement in my organization, Faith United to Save Democracy, are collaborating to ensure free, fair, and safe elections for everybody, not just Black Americans, for everybody. So I'm extremely excited to see the about 1,400 ordained and non-ordained clergy and leaders around the country, imams, rabbis, and others who've joined together to serve as poll chaplain and peacekeepers from Arizona to Wisconsin to make sure that the elderly, the disabled, the first-time young voters, returning citizens, those who are language challenged, can cast the most. As my dear friend Raphael Warnock said, the vote is almost like a prayer. It's nearly sacred. It tells about the country we want to be. So if anybody here wants to sign up to be a poll chaplain, we have training on Thursday, and you can check out check us out at turnoutsunday.com. We welcome you. It is the challenge that we really have today is that even beyond the intimidation factor and all this, what scares me is that there's a growing number of Americans, according to the Pew Research, close to 25%, who are okay with violence as an option if their candidate does not win. I don't know what kind of democracy you can have with those numbers. So that's why many of us, starting September 27th, began a 40-day fast. We're on the 11th day now. You can join us for a meal or a day. And you can go online again to turnoutsunday.com for the guide that has all the New Testament guides for each day and scriptures for each day. Because Jesus reminds us that some evils are not going to come out but by prayer and fasting. This is that kind of evil. So we're joined now. We're about 300 people around the country, and we're checking on each other every day to make, because I've never done a 40-day fast, and I hope I'm here next year to tell about it. So we all have a choice before us. And I believe that followers of Jesus can lead the way as they lean into and model his inaugural preaching from Luke 4:18 that you know so well, where he spoke from the book of Isaiah. He said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has appointed me, anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the years of the Lord's favor." And year of the Lord's favor means that it's the time that God shows up, that Jesus showed up. So that means that whoever is connected to Jesus, when they show up, love and joy and peace and compassion should always show up right where we are. That's what it means, that when we show up, the oppressed get released. So over the years, I've used every ounce of energy and access to power that God has entrusted to me to fight bigotry and oppression. So when people see me, I hope all they say is, she's been with Jesus. I hope that's all they say about me. I hope that's how people see me, loving the unlovable, standing up for the least, the last, and the lost, helping people of all races to see that we really have more in common than we have differences. So if being a Christian means anything to me now, finally, it means loving your neighbor as yourself, and not the neighbors you pick, but the ones who are least like you. It means being motivated and grounded and committed to care for the needs of the entire community, not just those who can pay you back, well-educated, the powerful, the wealthy. It means addressing the political and economic system that sustained centuries of poverty, racism, and other forms of injustice. And it means not just whining about the divisions of our time, but actively stepping in the gap as a bridge builder. And that, my friends, is what it means to me to have a faith that motivates, that's grounded, that's resources, civic contribution, and civic engagement. It means in benefiting the entire community, and not just the community we pick. If we're all created in the imago Dei, the image, the dignity of God, imagine what God thinks when we cherry pick the people to love, the people to serve, and the people to care. And I'm so glad that one day he found me in my state of absolute total confusion and said, even you, I can use. Thank you so much, and God bless you.